Hello, welcome. Today is January 15th, 2023, and I woke up this morning. My name is still PJ, and I'm still an alcoholic, gratefully recovered alcoholic. I did not drink or use drugs today. Did not have the urge to drink or use drugs today. Oh, yeah. So that's a relief. That's a relief, and that feels good. That feels good. All thanks to this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Today, we're going to get into chapter 6. We're going to get into action. Reading chapter 6. Into action is the name of the chapter. Into action resonates with me because action is the way that my thinking improves, and action is the way that my feelings improve, and I like to feel good. I like to feel good enough that I don't desire to escape the way that I feel. And that's through the action of the program at Alcoholics Anonymous. Before we get started, I will let you know that my grant sponsor would say, he says, I don't care what you feel. I care even less what you think. I just care what you're doing. Because I know you feel like shit. I know you feel like shit, otherwise you wouldn't be here. I know your thinking sucks because all these ideas you had got you into this in the first place. You're just like, I just care what you're doing. If you do what we do, you'll get what we get, which is a better life, free of drugs, alcohol, reduced obsession, greatly reduced anxiety, depression, if not free of anxiety and depression. The better I live these principles in all my affairs, the less restless, irritable, discontent, depressed, and anxious, angry, jealous that I am. So here we are. Let's get into it. Let's see what it says. Last week we talked about chapter 5, how it works. We got through, I think it gets through step 5. Maybe it gets into step 6 and 7, the character defects, but let's take a look. Let's see what it says. Starting off, chapter 6, into action. Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We have been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and to discover the obstacles in our path. We have admitted certain defects. We have ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is, but we have our finger on the weak items. We have put our finger on the weak items in our personal inventory. Now these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which, when completed, will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. This brings us into the fifth step in the program of recovery mentioned in the preceding chapter. So let's take a look. All right, sorry, I was just adjusting the volume a little bit on my end. I want to get this going smooth. So this requires action on our part. Boom, that's important. So here we are. We made a list. Chapter 4, we made a list of all of our resentments and our fears. Now we took a personal inventory, they would call it. Now we have to do something with it. That's the idea, is that we get into action, we start doing some things, and through that action we start feeling better. So admitted to God, ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs, right? This is chapter 5. As you go over your fourth step with your sponsor, with a priest, if that's your thing, with another trusted human being. You go over that fifth step inventory, those 4 columns that we talked about in the previous chapter. This is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is doubt about that. In practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We will be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. So here are the reasons why you go over this inventory with someone else, right? Rather than just like, okay, I got it down, we're good, I admitted this stuff to God, I don't have to tell God about these things, and you want to get vulnerable. If you leave stuff off this list, that is the stuff that's going to make you the sickest. Tell somebody. If your neighbor did funny things with you as a kid, put this stuff on there. Secrets make you sick. And we get this out. Trust me, trust me, you probably haven't done something that, or had something done to you that I haven't heard before, right? So let's get into the reasons why we go over this with somebody else. The best first reason, if we skip this vital step, let's see. So the best first reason, if we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep themselves certain facts about their lives. Trying to avoid this humbling experience, they have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having it preserved with the rest of the program, they wonder why they fell. We think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory all right, but they hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their ego. They only thought that they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty in the sense we find it necessary until they told someone else all of their life stories. Trying to avoid this humbling experience, right? There's so many humbling experiences in early recovery, whether that's putting on an apron, maybe you got college degrees and you have to go put on an apron for work every day and being yelled at by customers, working for $11 an hour. Something I went and did, right? Humbling experience, but humbling yourself, being humbled is so valuable, right? Being vulnerable is valuable. This embodies a humbling experience, a vulnerable experience, both two incredibly valuable elements of this recovery process. So they took inventory, but they hung on to some of the worst items in stock. This is that stuff that I'm talking about. You can't hold on to some of this. There's no point in doing it if you're not going to put the heavy stuff on there. You can't hold on to some of it. There's no point. You might as well not do it. If there's stuff that you're not willing to tell somebody else, half measures will avail you nothing. Invariably, you'll end up drunk. More than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He is very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. This double life thing, right? Maybe your family doesn't know really what you're into. Maybe your wife, your husband doesn't know what you're really into. Maybe your workplace doesn't know what you're into. They don't know how you drink, right? We hide our past. We hide our present. And we have to for protection. We have to keep certain stuff hidden from the world. And otherwise, my work can't know everything, right? But that being said, as humans, we need to be vulnerable with somebody, and Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous is the place to do that. When people are vulnerable with me and they tell me things in confidence, my sobriety is contingent on the fact that I don't go and use that against you or blab about it or gossip about it. Like, I will get loaded if I go and take whatever you give me, tell me, right? And it's probably not even that big a deal to me, but I will get loaded if I go and abuse your willingness to be vulnerable, right? So I don't want to die anymore, right? I like my life. I love my life. A guy like me, you can be vulnerable. You can tell me this stuff because I'm not gonna take advantage. I'm not going to to ruin that, to ruin my sobriety, just to gossip or some shit. So let's see. The inconsistency is made worse by the things he does on his sprees. Coming to his senses, he's revolted at certain episodes he vaguely remembers. Oof, yeah, right? Yeah, these memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. As fast as he can, he pushes these memories far inside himself. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension that makes for more drinking. Okay, I'm going to highlight that whole paragraph. And, buckle up, because this is a 17-page chapter, and it's got really good stuff in here. I used to have this thing that I didn't know had a term, but I would have these intrusive memories, incomprehensible demoralization memories of things that I did or things that happened to me, more so things that I did, things I did to myself. And these intrusive thoughts would hit me out of nowhere, and I would flinch mid-conversation with somebody. I would twitch. I would rip my head to the side, and someone pointed out to me that there's a term, I guess, for it called cringe Tourette's, right? But an intrusive thought would come, and it would make me feel terrible, right? And these feelings, these memories of bad things would give me anxiety and make me so uncomfortable that it seemed the only solution for the way that I was feeling was to drink again, to drink more. I drink and I get the relief. I drink and I get relief from all that. Everything's okay again. And then I go and make more messes and do more incomprehensible demoralization stuff. And then it doubles down and the bricks in the backpack and my just, excuse me. Let me get a drink quick. So, those things I'm talking about that would make me cringe, give me these cringe Tourette things. Talking about those things with other alcoholics and actually hearing them share about similar instances in their meetings and in their lives, in their recovery. Hearing them share, knowing I wasn't alone in these things, reduced that. It reduced the shame that surrounded that, the shame that kept me wanting to drink and use drugs, right? There's a lady, Brene Brown. She talks about the antidote to shame is an emotionally vulnerable connection with another empathetic human being. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here in this fifth step, right? We're going over this stuff. We're diffusing the shame so that we can become free, so we don't have to drink. Let's keep going. Psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We have spent thousands of dollars for examinations. We know but very few instances where we have given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told them the whole truth, nor we have followed their advice. Unwilling to be honest with these sympathetic men, we were honest with no one else. Small wonder many in the medical profession have low opinion of alcoholics and their chance for recovery, right? Are you honest with your doctor? If you've got stomach ulcers, and I was getting stomach ulcers, I wasn't honest about my drinking. My sister told me, she says, Paul, maybe your stomach ulcers are because you drink a lot. I'm like, no, couldn't be. Turns out it probably was. And here I was lying to myself saying it couldn't be. So even though we're not honest with others, it's hard to even be honest with ourselves. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happy in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom to take this intimate and confident step. Those of us belong to a religious denomination which requires confession must, and of course, will want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk with somebody ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics, right? So find someone safe. Easiest place for me was find my sponsor. He's done this a lot, so this is who I did it with. If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintance for a close-mouthed, understanding friend. Perhaps our doctor or a psychologist will be the person. If it may be it may be one of our own family, but we can not disclose anything to our wives or our parents which will hurt them and make them unhappy. We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. Such part of our story we tell to someone who will understand yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be hard on ourselves but always considerate of others. Yeah, so you just find someone safe. Easiest thing, the most traditional thing at this point, 2023, is to use your sponsor for this, but it doesn't have to be your sponsor. Notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available. If that is so, this step may be postponed only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through it with it at the first opportunity. We say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person. It is important that he be able to keep a confidence that he fully understand and approve what we are driving at, that he will not try to change our plan, but we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone. Now, when this was written back in like 1930, 40 something, there wasn't, the program was not as robust. The program is robust. I would like to think that if you're holding on to this, it's an excuse that you should be able to find somebody within a 12-step program that you can do this with. Take your time if needed. I suggest getting through it, get some freedom. My opinion on this is talking about these things with another individual is not worse than repeating the same stuff over and over again. If it's bad for you out there, it's not worse talking about this stuff than it is to go back out, drink again, get loaded again, and then have to add more incomprehensible demoralization. When we decide who is to hear our story, we waste no time. We have written inventory and we are prepared for a long talk. We explain to our partner what we are about to do and why we have to do it. He should realize that we are engaged upon a life and death errand. Most people approaching this way will be glad to help. They will be honored by our confidence. We pocket our pride and go for it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel that we are on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. This is a solid paragraph. A lot of people get a significant amount of relief having done the fifth step, going over their fourth step. The perks of doing this with your sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous, if you have, is he can help sort through this. He can help kind of say, hey, like, because one of those columns, like, what was my role in this, right? Where was I wrong, right? So you can start building the bigger picture for the future of a new way of thinking, a new way of behaving. Also, too, you can help identify if there's any areas here in which You maybe were part of the problem so much so that you, down step 8, 9, can make amends for some of what has happened here. So, keeping it in the program, right? It can help create a better picture strategy for going forward. A lot of people get a lot of relief from this. It's a solid step to get through. Get after it. Get it done. Get through it so you can get some relief. The longer you camp out, the more you have to sit in that. Yeah. Returning home, we find a place where we can be quiet for an hour, carefully reviewing what we have done. We thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know Him better. Taking this book down from our shelves, we turn to the page which contains the 12 steps. Carefully reading the first 5 proposals, we ask if we have omitted anything. For we are building an ark through which we shall walk a free man at last. Is our work solid so far? Are the stones properly in place? Have we skimped on the cement put in the foundation? Have we tried to make mortar without sand? So after you go over your 4th step, do your 5th step with your trusted individual. You go and meditate for an hour. I'm going to remember page 75, because I always tell my sponsees after we do this, go and meditate for an hour. I'm going to have them read that paragraph right there, bottom of page 75. After you're done with your 5th step, going over it with another, go and meditate. Do this. Solidify the work you have done. If we can answer to our satisfaction, we then look at step 6. So if you haven't left anything off, super important, then we look at step 6. We have emphasized willingness in being indispensable. Are we now ready to let God remove from us all the things which we have admitted we are objectionable? Can He now take them all, every one? If we still cling to something we will not let go, we ask God to help us be willing. So step 6, talking about removing character defects. You have to be ready. Some of them difficult to let go. So just the same as we ask a power greater than ourselves to help us with our drinking, we can ask a power greater than ourselves to help us with our character defects, right? I found it's just as hard to let go of some of my character defects. I'm as ill-equipped to stop being XYZ sometimes as I am to stop drinking when I was trying to stop drinking. So again, connection with the higher power, that is the core strategy to get through, to make some of these changes in our lives. And why make the changes? Because it makes our life better. We get a higher quality, a better quality of life upon making these changes. When ready, we say something like this. Step 6 prayer. My Creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my uselessness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go from here to do your bidding. Amen. Now we have completed step 7. So 7th step prayer, I suppose. So if some of you guys remember, I had said in the morning in my prayer, if I was struggling with some anxiety, if I was struggling with some depression, I was told not to pray for selfish means unless it would be make me more equipped to help others. So struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety, I would pray in the morning. I say like, hey, if you can help me with this depression, if you can help me with this anxiety today, I will use that extra energy and go try to help someone's day go better. And when I try to say help somebody, I don't mean like take on the world and start some giant helping nonprofit. I used to just try to help somebody have a better day than they're having. So simple. Wake up, try to help somebody have a better day, right? Very simple. And there it was. My depression, my anxiety was relieved. And I had the energy to help people with that being my intention. That's what it says here. I pray you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows, right? Defective character. And I would like to call my own anxiety and depression character defects, the parts of me in which I don't want to be part of my situation. I want to be relieved of my depression, my anxiety. And so I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows, right? So I pray that you remove my depression, anxiety, which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. My depression, my anxiety, my anger, my restlessness, my irritability, my laziness. Now we need more action, without which we find that faith without works is dead. Let's look at steps 8 and 9. So this is the amends process. We have a list of all persons we have. So we have a list, we made a list of all persons we have harmed and to whom we are willing to make amends. We made it when we took inventory. The way I do it is I have these guys write a list right here. It's like, okay, write a list. Some of it came from the inventory, but let's write a list of any person, place, or thing in which you harmed. Just write the list, nothing more. Let's do that. We subjected ourselves to drastic self-appraisal. Now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We don't go say sorry, we repair. We attempt to sweep away the debris which is accumulated out of effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. Remember, it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any length for victory over alcohol. So you might need to be reminded of this, because by the time you get to this step, maybe you're feeling better. I don't have to do that. No, I'm good. I'm doing good. I don't have to, right? But no, remember how bad it was. Remember how bad it was. This is part of it. We're going to do it. It might take a while, but we're going to make amends. We're going to make financial amends. We're going to make living amends. You can't. So 3 types of amends, right? First type, I just have to make right wrongs. I have no desire to have a relationship with that person, place, or thing, but hey, I stole $500 from that guy. I don't desire to be his friend anymore. He's still out there using and drinking, but it prevents it's something I think about. I'm sensitive to that stuff. I think alcoholics, addicts are sensitive to these things. So I made it right. I paid him back. Haven't talked to the guy in years, but I did the right thing and I paid him back, right? Other types of amends. People who I still want to have a relationship with. Mom, I cannot take back the 10 years of gray hair and stress and sleepless nights I gave her, right? I tried to make some financial amends, and she said, hey, I just want you to be happy and healthy, right? But for the time I stole from her, the happiness I stole from her, now it is my obligation to practice living amends in the form of trying to make the time that she has left in life twice as good as I made it twice as bad as it should have been in the past. So here I am going forward. It's my duty to make her life better than it was if none of this ever happened. That is the way that I can make living amends to my loved ones for the stress and destruction I caused in their life. And then the third one is on the list, right? Sometimes my sponsor will be like, just do them a favor and leave them alone. You don't need to get back in contact with some of these people to make amends, just to satisfy yourself. They're doing fine. They're happily married. They're this, they're that, right? They're good. Just leave them alone. Let them be on their way. It might cause more distress and bad bad things to just try to reinsert myself into their lives just for to selfishly make myself feel better, right? This isn't a selfish thing here. So do not do this stuff without the guidance of a sponsor. Really, is what it is, right? Don't do it. The path to destruction is often paved with good intentions. The monkey grabbed the fish out of the water and he pulled him up the tree and he says, "Here, I saved you. You were going to drown." The monkey had good intentions, but he's killing the fish. The fish isn't going to drown. Leave him in the water. Probably there are still some misgivings. As we look over the list of business acquaintances and friends we have hurt, we may feel different about going to some of them on a spiritual basis. Let's be reassured, to some people, we need not and probably not emphasize the spiritual feature on our approach. We might prejudice them. At this moment, we are trying to put our lives in order, but this is not an end in itself. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. It is seldom wise to approach an individual who still smarts from our injustice to him and announce that we have gone religious. In a prize ring, this would be called leading with the chin. Why lay ourselves open to being branded fanatics or religious bores? We may kill a future opportunity to carry a beneficial message, but our man is sure to be impressed with a sincere desire to set right the wrong. He is going to be more interested in a demonstration of goodwill than our talk of spiritual discoveries. So, making amends, it's making things right. It's not about apologizing. You can go to somebody, you can admit, this is what I've done and that was not right. What can I do to make it right? Sometimes it's simple. Sometimes you say, "Hey, I know I've done a lot of wrong. I've done a lot of wrong that was hurtful and harmful potentially for you. These are the things that I recognize I've done wrong. I want to make them right. And I also want to give you the opportunity to let me know if there's anything that I missed that I can make right." So for close family, friends, stuff like that, sometimes you need to give them the opportunity to help fill you in, because there might be things you've done that you're not even aware of, right? So we're open to that. We're also not going into these situations expecting some grand glory, praise from them, acceptance, love and acceptance, and welcoming open arms back in their life. They might tell you to F off, but the whole idea is that you've made a sincere attempt to make right the wrongs. You don't worry about anything outside of that. You made the sincere attempt with the guidance of another individual. And from that, you will get some relief. We don't use this as an excuse for shying away from the subject of God. When it will serve any purpose, we are willing to announce our convictions with tact and common sense. The question of how to approach the man we hated will arise. It may be he has done us more harm than we have done him, and though we may have acquired a better attitude toward him, we are still not too keen about admitting our fault. Nevertheless, with the person we dislike, we take the bit in our teeth. It is hard to go to an enemy. It is harder to go to an enemy than to a friend, but we find it much more beneficial to us. We go to him in a helping and forgiving spirit, confessing our former ill feelings and expressing our regret. I've heard some gnarly stories about guys going and carrying out this process with people who have done some bad things to their family, right? But they had also done something that warranted an amends, so they went and did that amends. And those people who tell me those stories are sober and happy and doing good many a years. Under no condition do we criticize such a person or argue. Simply, we tell him that we will never get over drinking until we have done our utmost to straighten out the past. We are there to sweep off our side of the street, realizing that nothing worthwhile can be accomplished until we do so. Never trying to tell him what he should do. His faults are not discussed. We stick to our own. If our manner is calm, frank, and open, we will be gratified with the results. Right? This is not about going and discussing and debating what has happened. We stick to our own. This is about cleaning our side of the street on a daily basis. If I go harm somebody, you'll hear about this more in step 10, the maintenance. One of the maintenance steps is if I harm somebody, I, as immediately as appropriate, I go clean my side of the street. I let them know where I have been wrong, self-admitted, self appraisal where I've been wrong. And sometimes I have to meditate on that to identify where I've been wrong. If I got into a gnarly conflict with someone, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. This guy's an asshole. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. And I meditate on that and I identify, is there an area of where I could have done better? Is there a place in which I have, have I been wrong? And if there is an area in which I was wrong in that interaction, I go and clean my side of the street and make my wrongs right. In 9 cases out of 10, the unexpected happens. Sometimes the man we are calling upon admits his own fault, so feuds of years standing melt away in an hour. Rarely do we fail to make satisfactory progress. Our former enemies sometimes praise what we are doing and will wish us well. Occasionally they will offer assistance. It should not matter, however, if someone does throw us out of his office. We have made our demonstration, done our part. It's water over the dam. So don't worry about how it goes. If you've, with the guidance of another individual who has done this before, go and went to make right your wrongs. Don't worry about their reaction. If it goes good, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. You did your part. Most alcoholics owe money. We do not dodge our creditors, telling them what we are trying to do. We make no bones about our drinking. They usually know it anyways, whether you think so or not. Nor are we afraid of disclosing our alcoholism on the theory it may cause financial harm. Approach in this way, the most ruthless creditor will sometimes surprise us. Arranging the best deal we can let these people know we are sorry. Our drinking has made us slow to pay. We must lose our fear of creditors no matter how far we have to go, for we're liable to drink if we're afraid to face them. Right? You just chip away at this stuff a little bit at a time, just knowing that you are doing the right thing. My grand sponsor took him 7 years to pay back his financial amends, right? Stayed sober just a little bit. Time flies. It makes an alcoholic feel good, to do this, to take week by week, month by month, to make progress in these areas. It's a very rewarding experience. Perhaps we have committed a criminal offense which might land us in jail if it were known to the authorities. We may be short in our accounts and unable to make good. We have already admitted this in confidence to another person, but we are sure we would be in prison or lose our job if we're known. Maybe it's only a petty offense, such as padding the expense account. Most of us have done that sort of thing. Maybe we're divorced and have remarried but haven't kept up the alimony to number one. She is indignant about it and has a warrant out for arrest. That's a common form of trouble too. Although these reparations take innumerable forms, there are some general principles which we find guiding, reminding ourselves that we have decided to go to any length to find a spiritual experience. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequence may be. We may lose our position or reputation or face jail, but we are willing. We have to be. We must not shrink at anything. I've seen these type of situations. They go well. They go well. Get guidance from people in the program on what you should do with stuff like this, right? Get guidance, get suggestions from people who are experienced in recovery, and take those suggestions. Take those suggestions. There's a lot of different solutions, types of solutions to make right our wrongs, right? Maybe I'll get into that into a different video, but there's a lot of different types of solutions to make right what we did wrong. Usually, however, other people are involved. Therefore, we should not be too hasty and foolish martyr who we should not be the hasty and foolish martyr who would needlessly sacrifice others to save themselves from the alcoholic pit. A man we know had remarried because of resentment and drinking. He had not paid alimony for his first wife. She was furious. She went to court and got an order for his arrest. He had commenced our way of life, had secured a position, and was getting his head above water. It would have been impressive heroics if he had walked up to the judge and said, "Here I am." We thought he ought to be willing to do that if necessary, but if he were in jail, he could provide nothing for either family. We suggested he write his first wife admitting his faults and asking forgiveness. He did, and also sent a small amount of money. He told her what he would try to do in the future. He said he was perfectly willing to go to jail if she insisted. Of course, she did not, and the whole situation has long since been adjusted, right? All these things used to panic us and overwhelm us, but through the program, through guidance from others in the programs, there's a solution. We're able to get through this stuff. Before taking drastic action, which might implicate other people, we secure their consent. If we have obtained permission, have consulted with others, ask God to help, and the drastic step is indicated, we must not shrink. This brings to mind a story about one of our friends. While drinking, he accepted a sum of money from a bitterly hated business rival, giving him no receipt for it. He subsequently denied having received the money and used the incident as a basis for discrediting the man. He thus used his own wrongdoings as a means of destroying the reputation of another. In fact, his rival was ruined. He felt that he had done a wrong. He could not possibly make right. If he opened that old affair, he was afraid it would destroy the reputation of his partner, disgrace his family, and take away his means of livelihood. What right had he to involve those dependent upon him? How could he possibly make a public statement exonerating his rival? After consulting with his wife and partner, he came to the conclusion it was better to take those risks than to stand before his Creator guilty of such ruinous slander. He saw that he had to place the outcome in God's hand, and he would soon start drinking again, and all would be lost anyhow. He attended church for the first time in many years. After the sermon, he quietly got up and made an explanation. His action was met with widespread approval, and today he is one of the most trusted citizens of his town. This all happened years ago. This is all magical stuff here. It's magical stuff. Like genuine, sincere, from the heart. I was wrong. And I want to make it right is so well received. And in most cases, right? I see very magical stuff happen, but we stay committed. We stay committed to this way of life. Do not try to go make amends if you have plans on drinking and using the next day, right? You're gonna discredit yourself. Anyways, get through this process. It is a very wonderful experience. The chances, let's keep going. The chances are that we have domestic troubles. The chances are that we have domestic troubles. Perhaps we're mixed up with women in a fashion which wouldn't care to be advertised. We doubt if, in this respect, alcoholics are fundamentally worse than other people, but drinking does complicate sex relations in the home. After a few years with an alcoholic, a wife gets worn out, resentful, and uncommunicative. How could she be anything else? The husband begins to feel lonely, sorry for himself. He commences to look around in the nightclubs or the equivalent for something besides liquor. Perhaps he is having a secret and exciting affair with a girl who understands. In fairness, we must say that she may understand, but what are we going to do about a thing like that? A man so involved often feels very remorseful at times, especially if he is married to a loyal and courageous girl who has literally gone through hell for him. Whatever the situation, we usually have to do something about it. If we are sure our wife does not know, should we tell her? Not always, we think. If she knows in a general way that we have been wild, should we tell her in detail? Undoubtedly, we should admit our faults. She may insist on knowing all the particulars. She'll want to know who the woman is and where she is. We feel ought to say to her that we have no right to involve another person. We are sorry for what we have done, and God willing, it shall not be repeated. More than that, we cannot do. We have no right to go further, though there are many justifiable exceptions, and though we wish to lay down no rule of any sort, we have often found this be the best course to take. If you're in a situation like this, take that into consideration. Get some guidance from the people in the program who are guiding you. I have found taking suggestions of others who know more about recovery, more about happiness, more about staying sober and happy, taking those suggestions has yielded positive results for me. No yeah buts, right? No yeah buts. If I get suggestions, I don't follow. Yeah, but no. It's like, all right, I got a suggestion. I asked for a suggestion. There's a suggestion. All right, it's worked well in my life. Our design for living is not a one-way street. It is as good for the wife as for the husband. If we can forget, so can she. If we can forget, so can she. It is better, however, that one does not needlessly name a person upon whom she can vent jealousy. Perhaps there are some cases where the utmost frankness is demanded. No outsider can appraise such an intimate situation. It may be that both will decide that the way of good sense and loving kindness is to let bygones be bygones. Each might pray about it, having the other one's happiness uppermost in mind. Keep it always in sight that we are dealing with that most terrible human emotion, jealousy. Good generalship may decide that the problem be attacked on the flank rather than face-to-face combat. If we have no such complication, there's plenty we should do at home. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Certainly he must keep sober, for there will be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife or parents from years he has so shockingly whom for years he has so shockingly treated. Passing all understanding in the patient mothers and wives have had with alcoholics. Passing all understanding is the patient's mothers and wives have had with alcoholics. Had this not been so, many of us would have no homes today would perhaps be dead, right? These people in our lives who continue to support us despite the wreckage that we were causing. This gets back to those living amends, right? Not only did we cause them problems, if they stayed supporting us, like we're in debt. We're in debt to them. Part of that living amends process is to pay them back. Pay them back by being a good person to them, making their lives better than it would be if none of this had happened in the first place, going above and beyond. You must go above and beyond in order to repay the debt of emotional distress that we've caused these people. The alcoholic is like a tornado roaring his way through the lives of others. Hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead, affections have been uprooted, selfish and inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinkable when he says that sobriety is enough. He is like the farmer who came up out of the cyclone cellar to find his home ruined. To his wife, he remarked, "Don't see anything the matter here. Ma, ain't that grand the wind stopped blowing?" Right? So we have to repair. We have to repair. We've caused a lot of damage. Just quitting drinking is not the repair process. Yes, there is a long period of reconstruction ahead. We must take the lead. A remorseful mumbling that we are sorry won't fill the bill at all. We ought to sit down with the family and frankly analyze the past as we now see it. Being very careful not to criticize them. Their defects may be glaring, but the chances are that our own actions are partly responsible. So we clean house with the family, asking each morning in meditation that our Creator show us the way of patience, tolerance, kindness, and love. Patience, love, kindness, tolerance. Patience, tolerance, kindness, love. Those are principles that I actively make effort to practice in all my affairs. There's a huge part of my life is aiming for patience, tolerance, kindness, and love. Asking God, asking the universe, asking our Creator for strength in our ability to do that. The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. Unless one's family expresses a desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we ought not urge them. We should not talk incessantly to them about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Our behavior will convince them more than our words. We must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone. It takes time to regain trust. We lead by attraction rather than promotion. Actions speak louder than words. You live this stuff. You don't talk about it. You can talk about it, but you live it. You let your actions lead. Being a spiritual human being is not about talking about it. It is about doing it. You do it. Allow others to be attracted to what you're doing. If people want to talk about it, that's great, but it's not about talking. It's about living. We live these principles in all of our affairs. There may be some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't. Hold on. Right? I want to highlight some stuff. So, right, family will be skeptical for a reasonably long time. Accept that. Surrender to that. That's okay. Accept their skepticism for years. If they want to ask you, how's the sobriety going? How's the drinking? Are you drinking? Accept it. You've earned it. You've earned it. They're allowed to ask that for a really long time if they want. They're allowed to question whether or not you're lying for a really long time if they want. You've created a bed. You got to just accept it, surrender to it, live in it, lie in it, be okay with it. All right, let's keep going. There may be some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we would right them if we could. Some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter and there may be a valid reason for postponement in such cases, but we don't delay if it can be avoided. We were sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. My friend has that tattooed on him. So there's situations in which we can't make amends. I would like to think of making amends to society as a whole can make up, right? Maybe someone is dead you can't make amends to. You go and treat other people the way that you wish that you could make right for that person. I you know There's a lot of generalized theory. We are all one, the living organism of the earth, right? So there's a lot of people I can't go make amends to. I don't even know their names. In lieu of making amends, I treat others in society extra good. I help people that I don't know, haven't known from the past, get sober because I'm not able to help some of these other people who I negatively impacted their lives. I'm not able to make amends for those things. So I look at it in the bigger picture. By just generally going above and beyond to be useful to my community. I have a sponsee who stole from a lot of cars, right? He doesn't know who those people are, right? He doesn't know what those people are. I told him to tally up the amount of money that he potentially stole from all these cars, and we're going to figure out a way. He's going to take that amount of money and he's going to find a good cause, and he's going to find people worth helping, whether it's a donation or something of the like, right? Maybe it's just, and a lot of this anonymous. This is not, look at me, I donated a whole bunch of money. It is about a debt to society for the damage you caused, repaying that debt so you can be happy, joyous, and free, having done the right thing. If you made the world a worse place previously, now what we're going to do is we're going to go make the world a better place, equal and opposite. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, oh, yes, here's the 9-step promises. This is my favorite reading of all of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is not the hopes. This is not the maybes. These are the 9-step promises. When you're halfway through the 9-step amends, this is what Alcoholics Anonymous, an organization of millions of people, this is what they promise you. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Let's talk about this. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, thorough, honest, work hard at it, do all that you can to make things right. You'll be amazed before you're halfway through from the results that you get in terms of happiness and spiritual joy and just quality of life. You're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. You will not be carrying around the ball and chain of depression and guilt. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. I'm grateful everything happened the way that it happened. It makes me the person who I am today. That's what that means. We will comprehend the word serenity and we'll know peace. Serenity and peace, you will have that in your life. No matter how far down the scale we've gone, we will see our experience can benefit others, right? Maybe our experience changed us in such a way that we are a better, more valuable person to the people around us generalized. Maybe that experience makes us uniquely qualified to help another struggling individual who's been through the same stuff. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Check. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away, right? The selfishness, the self-centeredness, the not being able to see more than 2 inches in front of your own face. You realize how your actions affect other people. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. So our attitude and outlook, our perspective changes, which makes the world not such a terrible place, that makes this life experience not such a terrible experience to have to sit in and go through. Economic insecurity will leave us. That's a good thing. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. This is about being good at life. Why do you want to be good at life? Because when you're good at life, life is easier. And when life is easier, you can add more to it if you want. Or you can just be chilling, having a good life. Good life. Easy, good life. Chilling. That's great. You can take either path. But having that available to you is such a valuable thing, such a valuable reward from this program. Because situations used to baffle us day in and day out. All sorts of situations used to baffle me. Now, I intuitively know how to handle those, so I can cruise through day-to-day life, breezy, with grace, sailing through, despite having a lot of responsibility and despite life being difficult at times. I'm able to handle it, and I intuitively know how to handle all this life stuff that used to baffle me. We realize that God is doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves, right? Yeah. Sometimes that is relieving us of our alcoholism. Sometimes that is having changes happen in my life. Maybe I'm at an abusive job and I don't have it in me to quit, and they let me go. God did for me what I couldn't do for myself, right? Changes in life, I welcome them with open arms, even if on paper they seem undesirable. On paper they seem undesirable, but God is doing for me what I could not do for myself, and He's making adjustments in my life that are set to benefit me, even if they seem like a bad thing. I surrender to say, hey, I don't know if this is bad. Let's go with it. Let's see what happens. And time and time again, it turns out to be a good thing, even though it maybe seemed like it was bad. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. So this is some of the strongest statement, one of the strongest statements in Alcoholics Anonymous is these promises, and us putting in the effort that they will always materialize if we work for them. This is strong stuff. It just caught my attention early on Alcoholics Anonymous, and I went for it. And I said, I'll be pretty damn frustrated if this doesn't work out. You're promising me, you're saying they always materialize if we work for them. Here I am, and it materialized. It worked out just as they promised. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. Maintenance stuff. We vigorously commence this way of living as we have cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. Continue to take personal inventory. So now we've processed our resentments, we've processed our fears, worked on our character defects, relieved ourselves of guilt and shame through the amends process. We've cleaned the house. Now we need to take personal inventory on a daily basis and make sure that we keep our house clean. I use an analogy for this section, for this step. This step process, you're cleaning out your car. You hadn't cleaned it out in 10 years. It's a disaster. There's beer cans on the floor, cigarette fell down the seat. There's McDonald's bags in the back seat. There's dust and dirt. It smells bad. You do a really good job cleaning it and your life feels good again. So, every time you hop out of that car, grab that trash. Grab that trash. If there is an empty soda can, every time you get out of that car, grab the soda can, grab the granola bar wrapper, pull it out, throw it away, keep the car clean. We do this with our lives. I've freed myself of the emotional and spiritual baggage of the past by doing this. Now I have to make sure that I'm not putting more new bricks in my backpack on a day-to-day basis without relieving myself of that as I go. If I harm someone, I need to identify where I went wrong, and I have to go make that right. The sooner, the quicker I do that. Sometimes it takes the guidance of another person, but the sooner and quicker I do that, the cleaner my house stays, the freer I feel. If I catch new resentments, I write them down the same way that I did for step 4. The person, place, or thing, what happened and why it upset me. I write that stuff down and I talk to somebody about it. I've cleaned house, now I have to keep the house clean. Maintenance. If you clean out your car once a week, it'll probably be pretty good. If you clean out your car once a month, it'll be all right. Every few months, blah, right? But if you do it daily, your life stays happy, joyous, and free and pristine. Keep up with this stuff. And so we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time, sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We reacted sanely and normally, and we'll find this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude towards liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. This is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor we are afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in spiritual fit condition. This is the magic that comes as a result of doing this process. I don't have to fight the urge to drink because I don't have the urge to drink. I'm able to look at alcohol, I'm able to look at drugs and be like, no, like I'm good. Like, sure, they're good for you. Maybe that's fun for you. It's not for me. It's burnt. I don't even want to do it. Like, it's not a fight. It's not a daily struggle. Sometimes it's a daily struggle to keep my character defects at check, in line, but that problem of alcohol has been removed from my life. Position of neutrality. I don't care if you drink. I don't care if you drink in front of me. Don't recommend that early in recovery, but I don't care if you drink. I don't care if you drink in front of me and whatever. Like, it's no big deal. I'm just not interested in doing it. Same thing. I don't like cilantro. Right? No, I'm just like, no, I'm good. No cilantro, please. Right? Same thing. No alcohol, please. No, I don't drink. I don't drink. Mm-mm. It's easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. What does that mean? Rest on our laurels. And like rest on the work we have previously done. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day we must carry the vision of God's will to our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts we must go with. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day, I practice these principles in all of my affairs. I've surrendered to a new way of life, and it's not bad, but I need to surrender to being kind, loving, patient, tolerant, honest every day. And when I'm not, I go make right. I clean house. Practicing these principles in all of my affairs relieves me of the problem of alcohol. All of my affairs, not just some of them, not just on Tuesday when I go to my meeting, not just on Thursday at the meeting, not just on Sunday because that's the holy day. No, practice these principles in all of my affairs when no one's looking, when people are looking. Just the whole thing. You surrender to a different way of life, and with that, you will be blessed with an amazing quality of life. It's here. You just gotta practice these principles in all our affairs. Every day is a day we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities. Thy will, not mine, be done. And thy will, not mine, be done type thing. That's an important statement. You know, thy will, not mine, be done. I don't throw tantrums when things don't go my way, or at least I try my best not to. There's a plan in place. Things are going to be okay. I am not in charge of the entire show. My job is to do the best I can at whatever is in front of me and take what's given to me and do the best I can with that, with the filter of how can I be useful to my fellows? How can I help other people? All right, let's keep going. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. So to some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense, but we must go further, and that means more action. I might break down a separate video where I read the steps. Because it's getting through, we're going to be through all of them soon. I might throw that in there after this. So, a lot of people believe that this program is a path to a spiritual awakening. In my opinion, it's the quickest and easiest way there. And having done the work so far, you will likely have some sense of this spiritual stuff, spiritual support, spiritual awakening. Having done this stuff thoroughly honestly, you will start to have that vibe, that sense in your life. Give it a try, see what happens. But so you got this far. You're able to live life. through a different lens, a happier lens. We've had a spiritual awakening. Now, what do we do to maintain that? Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. That's what we do. We shouldn't be shy in this matter of prayer. Well, what is step 11? Having had a spiritual awakening, we sought to improve conscious contact with God through prayer and meditation. So I'm actively seeking to improve my conscious contact now that I've opened up that realm of spiritual contact. Let's see. Okay. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works. If we have the proper attitude and work at it, it would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. Let's hear it. This is great. Page 86 and page 87. This is how you start your day and how you end your day. Just do it. Start your day this way, end your day this way. Valuable. Here's the alpha suggestions of Alcoholics Anonymous. When we retire at night. So what do you do before you go to bed? When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving toward all? What could have we done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and we inquire what corrective measures should be taken. So this is when we retire at night. We continue to take personal inventory, and when wrong, we probably admitted it. This is the daily inventory that you should develop a sense to keep it active moment to moment in life, but at least when you retire at night. Where could you have done better? Do you have to make amends for anything? Were you kind and loving and patient? Were you selfish, thinking about yourself instead of everybody around you? Not morbid reflection, but an inventory upon your day to identify where it is that you can continue to grow and keep your house clean. This is cleaning your car at the end of the day. On awakening, so that's when we retire at night. Now what? In the morning, this is what you do. It's not difficult. Right here. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day before we begin. So before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. Wake up. You ask your higher power for some help, and some help to be useful to your fellows, to be less self-seeking. Because when you are contributing to the happiness of those around you, God, the universe, it nourishes you with all you need and more. Upon awakening, let's think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties as assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. We have a brain and we can use it, but we need a core trajectory, and that trajectory is to be divorced of self-seeking motives, to be useful to our fellows. In thinking, all right, I'm just gonna, let's see, upon awakening, gotta highlight that. When we retire at night, gotta highlight that. Our thought life. In the thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine, okay, this is important. We intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. So here is where we rely on a power greater than ourselves for some guidance in these situations and scenarios in which we don't know what to do. I often find that I'm able to have the right intentions, the right motives at heart, or just quiet my mind, meditate on things after I've worked these steps, not before, after I work these steps. If I can just quiet my mind, the right decision intuitively comes to me. Doesn't hurt. I also have this bracelet, even though I'm not specifically Christian. It says, "What would Jesus do?" Because it helps guide me in my decisions in life. But in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answer comes after we have tried this for a while. So you don't trip out. If you don't know, relax. Ask God for some guidance. Take it easy. Allow him to do his thing. Read the Golden Key. What used to be a hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. So being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it's not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pray for this presumption, all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we will find that our thinking will, as time passes, being more on the plane of inspiration we come to rely on. Again, through the help of a power greater than ourselves, we become good at life. We make the right decisions intuitively. Take some time to get there. I, at the end, was making terrible decisions, even with good intentions. And now here I am, almost 5 years sober. And in general, I make good decisions and life is good and everything is smooth. But that comes through continuing to see conscious contact with a power greater than myself, through prayer, through meditation, to being open. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that will be shown all throughout the day that what our next step is to be, that we will be given whatever we need to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no request for ourselves only. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that and it doesn't work. You can easily say why. So this is where I talked about I'm praying for relief from my depression and my anxiety. And I say, hey, if you help me with that, I will use that energy to go help other people. And then like, oh, bam, good days upon me. Getting out of myself, going and helping some other people, and my depression and anxiety's gone, right? What a cool deal. What a cool get down. Because ultimately, I just want to be happy. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be anxious. And if that means I gotta go help some people, I'm signing up. Like, sign me up. I want relief. So we may only ask for ourselves if others will be helped. We're careful to never pray for our own selfish ends. If circumstance warrant, we can ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. If we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles we have been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they have to offer. Like, how much time have we spent being quick to see where religious people are wrong? But how little time have we spent to see where religious people are right? Um, I used to be jealous of people. They'd go about their life happy and healthy, and they had a belief in power greater than themselves. They were doing good, and I used to be like resentful at them. Can't beat them, join them. So here I am. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful, and we ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. So this is the instructions right here. This, through this, and this. These are the instructions for your day after you've completed the steps. We remind ourselves we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, Thy will be done. We are then in much less danger, excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works. It really does. We alcoholics are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. But this is not all. There's action and more action. Faith without works is dead. This next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. And continue to carry this message to alcoholics who still suffer. That is step 12. That is where we are going next. Thy will, not mine, be done. Burning up foolish energy. I'm 36 years old. I'm old enough that I don't have unlimited energy anymore. I need to preserve it. If I get 8 hours of sleep, I want that energy all to be able to focus on the things that I want to focus on rather than being angry, in fear, resentful, all of this foolish stuff that was stealing my happiness. That will be done. Right on. Thank you guys for joining me. If you made it all the way through it, I might highlight some of the sections of this. I might go back and talk about this in some short clips. Maybe I will make maybe I'll make some YouTube shorts. I can get on board with that. I don't know if I'm ready for TikTok yet. Darn TikTokers. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but something shorter. Or maybe I'll make YouTube shorts, or maybe just some highlights, some short 10-minute videos on some of these topics. This was a lot to get through. If you made it through it, good for you. You might just stay sober. Have yourself a good rest of the day. Have yourself a good rest of the week. We'll see ya.